So what's going on with the Game of Thrones prequel House of the Dragon? A few people have asked me this in the comments, and just like every other topic on the channel, I'm going to be doing a video on this. If you don't know what House of the Dragon is, it's basically a Game of Thrones prequel, focused around House Targaryen. And we know the Dance of the Dragons, which is a Targaryen civil war, is going to have a big focus. And because House Targaryen doesn't have a very good ending in the main show, why should people get excited for it? Jon and Daenerys were two of the most popular characters. Why should we care about their ancestors if their family just ends in ruins? Yeah, I completely understand that. It is quite hard to get invested. But the Targaryens are pretty much the most popular family along with House Stark. And of course dragons. Everyone loves dragons. They're awesome. When done properly, because sometimes in Season 8, they're not always done great. They're a massive chunk of the CGI budget, and sometimes they're just wasted. Someone at HBO is like, let's just have a dragon scene now in this episode. We've not had a dragon scene yet, shove it in here. What about the direwolves or some more important dialogue? Nah, forget about that. Have a dragon flying overhead. There's definitely a reason HBO chose this show. Originally they were going to do a Long Night prequel, which didn't feature any dragons or any members of House Targaryen. That was cancelled and they're moving ahead with House of the Dragon. Instead of doing a pilot, they're going to do a full 10 episode season. It's going straight to series. I think eventually they want to have more than one prequel going on, but right now they got to focus on one. Get the new stuff off the ground before you start doing more. You don't want to start making more than one show and then realising we might have a bit more than we can chew. Because Game of Thrones is their biggest show, and obviously it's not running right now. It ended in 2019, and chances are the next Game of Thrones show is not going to air until 2022. But if HBO's new show House of the Dragon's a big success, then they'll definitely want to have more than one show in the future. But quality is of course extremely important, and Season 8 was not quality, but of course that's why I think they're only focused on one right now. But don't worry, Dan and Dave are not involved, they've got new showrunners for this. Dan and Dave made a mess of the end of Game of Thrones, everybody wanted rid of them. They're not involved at all, don't worry. The new showrunners are Ryan Condal and veteran Game of Thrones director Mikhail Sapochnik. He's directing the first episode, and more in the future. Plus George R. R. Martin, the author of the series, is the co-creator, so that's always a bonus. But he's not writing any episodes until he's done with Winds of Winter, which could be any time, who knows. And when he gets involved in this show, I'll probably take away from the final book, A Dream of Spring. I'm not really familiar with Ryan Condal, but George R. R. Martin has spoke pretty highly of him. And Mikhail Sapochnik has done some of the best episodes, including Hard Home and The Battle of the Bastards. But we can critique him for Season 8. He done episode 3 and 5, I think, The Long Night and the Bells. The Long Night was the big battle against the Night King, and the Bells was the big battle down in King's Landing. Ever since he done Battle of the Bastards, he's always been the big battle director. Yeah, Battle of the Bastards is a great battle, it's a great episode, but The Long Night and the Bells? You can't actually see anything in The Long Night, or at least not on the television version. Maybe on the Blu-ray, maybe they fixed it. When I watched it air, I couldn't see anything. It's so hard to see, it's so dark. I'm sure that's the director's choice. Of course it might be cinematography or someone else. But if I was directing it, you would say something if it was too dark. And the Bells, yeah, that's not a great episode. Of course, he can only work with the script that he's given, but with A Long Night, there's nothing in the script that says it has to be pitch black. Yeah, but let's move on from this. I'm not bashing him, I'm a big fan of The Battle of the Bastards, and Hard Home is my favourite episode. So yeah, what's actually going on right now? It's still in pre-production, they're still writing the scripts. And HBO have publicly said they want to aim for 2022. I believe they probably want to put it in the Game of Thrones original spot of April 2022. That was said before pre-lockdown. It might have changed, but because the show is still in the early stages and they're only writing the episodes, lockdown might not have affected it too much. It's probably gave them some challenges, but it's not like, for instance, let's say The Lord of the Rings on Amazon or The Witcher on Netflix that were actually filming episodes and had to shut down production and can't do anything really. Yeah, they can do some CGI and some touching up on other stuff remotely, but they can't actually film, they can't move ahead too far. Whereas with House of the Dragon, they're still writing the scripts, they're still in the early stages, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think 2022 is still more than possible, April's my bet, makes most sense. Every season of Game of Thrones except Season 7 aired sometime in the spring, either late March or early April. Why would you not put the prequel in that spot? Unless of course they hit some major roadblocks. As for where they're going to film, we don't actually know. Game of Thrones has filmed all over the world, but it was based out of Northern Ireland, in Belfast. But they're no longer going to be based out of Titanic Studios in Belfast, where the big King's Landing set for Season 8 was. Game of Thrones has done a lot for Northern Ireland, it's made them a lot of money, and Northern Ireland's done a lot for Game of Thrones. It's kind of like having Lord of the Rings down in New Zealand, or Harry Potter in London. To a lot of people, that's where they belong, that's their home, and Northern Ireland was the home of Game of Thrones. It would suck if they leave, but they might have no choice. But nothing concrete yet, still in the early stages. So yeah, let me know what you think about House of the Dragon, and also how you feel about Game of Thrones 1 year later, after the finale aired. In my opinion, if Season 8 ended better, then this show would be through the roof. Everybody would be excited for it. But because it ended poorly, some people have either ditched HBO completely, they don't want anything to do with Game of Thrones, or they're a bit more like me, they're a bit more reserved. They're cautiously optimistic. But just imagine the hype for the prequel if the main show ended well. But of course we can't change that, it's over now. We can only move forward. I know not everyone's excited, but I will admit when this show was announced there was a lot of buzz. The hype for Game of Thrones is still there, it's just not as big as it was, as big as it could have been. But I think we'll get a lot of that back when they share the first details, the first photos, and of course footage. And it's all going to be on the channel, all the Game of Thrones updates. If you want to get them, make sure you subscribe and turn the notifications on. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, check out these videos, and I'll see you in the next one.